down the line, we want to look at the gains and the pains. Can we actually point to certain gains or the pains of that decision by the federal government? That's what we're looking at this morning. The gains and the pains of the closure of Nigerian land borders by President Muhammadu Buhari. We have two public analysts in the studio this morning who we believe are competent to discuss this issue. On my immediate right is Mr. Ayoade Shorunke. Good morning, Mr. Shorunke.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. We also have the popular public commentator, Honorable Larry Jaji, joining us this morning. It's been a while that he came here. Good morning, Honorable Jaji.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, viewers at home.
I like your cap this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start with Mr. Shorunke. The gains and the pains of border closure, land border closure. Let's start from the food production, rice. Should we say that we've gained so much from, the closure of our borders to importation of rice?
Considerably and relatively, we can say that there has been a lot of gain. Because of the closure, it has kind of encouraged a lot of farmers to go into the production of rice. We even know the Ministry of Agriculture in this state has done a lot in that respect, and it's part of the gains that the ministry is also attributing to ourselves. So I believe we've had a lot of gains, but my own perspective is that the gains will have been more if probably not for the pandemic and probably some of the insurgencies some of these security situations that have now come up in the north, in areas that are agrarian in the north, that could have also added to the production. So, there have been gains, but we are saying that the gains could have been more relative to the situation that we find ourselves currently in the country.
At least in the area of rice production, we can actually say, if you go to a market to buy rice now, people will say, the Nigerian rice and foreign rice.
Yeah.
And I think to an extent too, we've seen, Nigerians believing in themselves and what they can actually do with this.
Yes, Nigerians really believe in themselves, and it's not just believing in themselves. I've seen a lot of Nigerians turning into buying and eating the local rice, even more than the foreign rice, which is also a gain, in the sense that if you have a product and you can't get market for it, it's a challenge for the person producing the product. It's either you have to sell it at a very low price or not even have enough people to buy it in the first instance. So to a large extent, we've seen Nigerians turning more to buying the local rice, which is relatively cheaper than the imported rice. Of course, there are still some of us in the country that still prefer to buy the imported rice for a lot of reasons. Some of the local rice, I believe over time, we will also improve on it. Some of them are still with a lot of stones, but I think that is part of the teething problem when you go into such a thing. So as time goes on, as we begin to improve in the production, in the milling of the rice, all those things will kind of improve. And I think this is also a clarion call to even the people who are milling the rice, producing the rice. They need to improve and up their game so that the local rice can compete favorably with the imported rice, so that Nigerians really wouldn't have a choice than to buy the local rice. I have tasted the local rice, and I've seen some of them even more nutritious than the imported rice. So I think there are a lot of gains, but we still need to do more.
Honorable Jaji, looking at the gains he has actually enumerated from production from the agricultural point of view, should we then say that that decision, some people believe that that decision should have come a long time in the past, but is it ever too late to take such a decision?
Well, thank you. It was never too late to take that decision, and it was a very good decision, I must confess to you. Me personally, we want to give kudos to the state government, because it really created an avenue, for our Ministry of Agriculture to really thrive very well. A lot of unemployed youths had the opportunity now to go into farming. You can see recently, I saw in a video clip where the Honorable Commissioner for Agriculture in person of Dr. Dedino was showing us, the rice mills that we have in Ogun. So you'll be surprised, even mechanized one. So which means, as when the border were not closed, we wouldn't have been so serious. We wouldn't have wanted to go into mass production of rice. I think there was a video clip that I saw, a particular governor in the eastern part of the country. Cross River. This guy really went into massive rice production. They had a very automated, mechanized, fully automated rice, mills. So which means Nigerians are waking up. There's nothing bad if Nigeria could even feed the whole world. I'm telling you, we are so much blessed in this country to an extent that we can be able to feed the whole world. Yes, we made the mistake when we had the oil blue. We were supposed to have diversified into agriculture. This monolithic economic policy we've been practicing on oil or whatever, we should have vested much on agriculture, and I'm telling you, we're not likely to be where we are today. But it's not too late now. It's a better decision. I still want to really give kudos to the government. A lot of graduate unemployed farmers are now going into farming. I mean, you can see although we still have some teething problems concerning what my other friend said, that concerning the production of the rice. But I'm telling you, with time, as time goes on, we are still going together.
And there's also the value chain.
The value chain of production, manufacturing, sales. The people that are even selling chemicals to even get themselves involved. People that are going to even use the rice for another thing. I mean, it's not eating rice alone that is all this tuwo or whatever, tuwo chinkafi or whatever they say. So rice could be, processed in many ways. So it's a very big blessing. It's a lot of gains as far as I'm concerned. Most especially the employment aspect of it. I mean, if you can even go into massive production, full mechanized, full production and planting of rice, mechanized farming this time around, 550,000 hectares of land could be cultivated. So we don't need to, as I'm talking to you now, imported rice are still very expensive. Recently I learned it was between 23 to 35,000 naira. It's uncalled for.
25 and 28.
28. I mean, it's uncalled for. So, which is possible, majority of Nigerians to go back to the local rice. And I'm telling you, there is nothing bad in the local rice. If well packaged, if well, harvested and well processed, we are also going to enjoy.
Well, you talked about the efforts of Ogun State government and that of, I think, Ebonyi or Cross River State government. Now, are you satisfied really by the efforts being made by this government? I mean, you've talked about what are others doing. I mean, so many things can still be done to really take charge of all of those errors or all of those minuses that we have in the local rice.
Yes, presently I'm satisfied, but I'm sure they can easily, improve and probably do more. And it's an opportunity for other state governments too. The remaining state government in Nigeria to please go into this full-fledged mechanized farming in terms of, not in rice alone. Other agricultural products too, cassava, maize.
Now, also one of the reasons why the borders were actually short was because of also imported
items.
Like poultry products.
Poultry products. So, so if we can do that, I'm telling you, it's an opportunity for us to really want to develop our own agricultural sector internally here. And I'm telling you, by the time everybody goes to agriculture, people are employed, you have 1 or 2, nairas in your pocket, you can be able to feed your family, you can want to raise your head that, I'm proud to be a Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian, and Nigerians are even feeding themselves. Very soon we shall soon feed the whole world by the grace of God.
Now, when the issue of border closure came up, after some months, we had, I saw a clip really of a member of the National House of Assembly who was actually talking. He actually came from the northern side of the country. And then he said he went out on inspection one day like that. And then it was at the dead of the night. And he got to the border, in that area. And he discovered that it was business as usual. Business as usual. He saw things, though he did not, let them know that he is actually a member of the National House of Assembly. Now we've also heard it that it is in the southern part of the country that the borders are short. In the northern part of the country, it is business as usual.
Let me tell you something. The truth of the matter is, we still have some people, that are the black sheep in the family. There is no way you want to, do away with that in a society. Those people that are still doing it in some other parts of the country are the ones that doesn't want, progress of this country to really thrive. In a situation where the government has given an instruction that let us close our border, is going to be of more benefits to we. That we are Nigerians. Employment opportunity is going to be created. Even food production, even the prices of food items are going to go down. By the time, Biodun is a farmer, I'm a farmer, yourself you are a farmer. We try to manufacture rice, we produce rice. If Biodun wants to sell his own at the rate of 13,000 naira per bag, and I think I want my own to go because I have almost 50 tons of rice in my store. I might say I want to sell my own for 7,000 5,000 naira. So, I mean, the other will be forced to sell his own for 6,000. So at that rate, price of these commodities will come down. Life is going to be better for Nigeria, and that's all that matters.
Now, don't we also think that government needs to do something about that area as well? I mean, we all felt the brunt. I mean, we felt the pain really more, particularly when the border, were shut. Almost 3 months, after the borders were shut, we really felt the heat. But it was business as usual over there. They were actually not feeling the heat. Don't you think there is an imbalance?
Relatively, I think one challenge that we've had in Nigeria, even over a long time, is a situation of enforcement of some of our laws. It seems to be more pronounced down here than even in the north. We've seen situations whereby even when criminals from the northern extractions are arrested, and I mean, just over a phone call, they are let off the hook. So it's a challenge in the nation. But I don't want us to bother ourselves so much about that. And the reason why I would say that is there is an economic value to what is happening. By the time the North begins to realize what addition is happening to the South, they wouldn't have a choice than to follow suit. So I just want what is happening in the South, let it continue. The gains will continue to increase, and it will continue to reflect in our economic values and economic benefits. So by the time the North begins to see that, I'm sure, whether they like it, I mean, this was what was happening in the days of Baba Awolowo. There was competition. So let's see how that economic value begin to add to us and begin to give us the gains. By the time we begin to see that, I'm sure those in the North will also find a way of turning a new leaf. But beyond that, I just want to add to what Honorable Jaji said. Sustainability is key. We have started a good program, but I just hope that the government will sustain it. I mean, we have mentioned 2 states now. Ogun State is doing brilliantly well. Cross Rivers is doing excellently well. I think there has to be sustainability. Even if there's a change of government, there are some people now that have put their investment in rice because of this government policy. If government does not sustain this policy, and maybe 4 years down the line, when there's a change of government, or 8 years down the line when there's a change of government, and government decides to kind of take a back step on that policy, those people will also have to change their line of investment. I don't pray that happens, but I just hope that government will sustain this and they will see it to a logical conclusion so that even other states will begin to see reason why they need to invest in this.
Now, last year, around August, that was when the border was actually shut against the Benin Republic. And then when the federal government felt, oh, it was really not achieving, the much, yes, it actually extended, the closure to Ghana and other countries, neighboring countries like that. And that was around October. And then, whether we like it or not, it really did not go down well with these neighbors. They started saying all sorts, calling on the government to open its borders and the rest of them. And recently, we've started seeing some breakdown of relationship between Nigeria and some of those countries. Now, one of them is Ghana. It's in the news now. At first, it began with demolition of part of our embassy at some point, and then now businesses are clamped down. Nigerian businesses are actually short in Ghana. No less than 160, according to what the papers have reported this morning. What do you think really should be happening?
You see, there is no way it will not have a kind of effect. But let me first quickly give you a very simple economical logic of what happened. Some neighboring countries were feeding fat on Nigerian economy. I must confess to you. Look, for instance, this, car importation, smuggled goods, I mean, etc. Let's take car importation for instance. By the time some countries feels okay, I mean, just go and land your vehicles at Benin Republic, bring it into Nigerian border one way or the other. Whereas we are supposed to be paying taxes at our own, seaports. You can see, I mean, the guy at the ends of affairs of the customs declared a very huge amount of profits recently. Yes. I mean, some 2 years ago, a tremendous amount that this country would never have thought of even making in the history of this country. So, which means it was the closure that brought about that. So, I mean, collect the revenue is being generated for this country, whereas in some other countries, they were the ones that were, accruing those revenues that were supposed to have been accrued by Nigeria. I mean, initially, but now Nigeria is having them. Look at the employment opportunity that we just made mention concerning this right production of a thing. Is something that's really benefiting us. They will react because they are not finding it very easy. It's quite unfortunate that we are still talking about power supply in Nigeria. We are still having shortage. We are still having epileptic power supply in this country. It's not supposed to be. Whereas neighboring countries that we are even supplying with electricity never had a kind of epileptic power supply. It's quite unfortunate. We need to do something about our own too. But I think that one could be due to our population. We are over 200 million now. If statistically want to be frank with one another, they are only reacting. I mean, destruction and demolition of the embassy, now clamping down on Nigerians in Ghana, most especially, they should close their shop, they should go and bring $1 million for whatever taxes, and it's uncalled for. It's uncalled for. I mean, probably they want to say, okay, the one we did the other time, Ghana must go.
Do you think there is a link between the closure of the borders with Ghana and this?
It could not be totally eradicated. It could not be totally not punctured, because they felt. I mean, if you people want to say, okay, you want to close your border, there are some things that we are benefiting and it's not coming to us again. Let us see how we can be able to do too. Let us see how you two can feel the pains internally. But what I just want to implore our own government too is, in all sectors of life, let them try and make sure that we have a very good, habitable, conducive, environment that will not even want Nigerians to want to seek for greener pastures. We don't need these greener pastures of the thing. Let us look internally. Let us see what we can be able to do to develop our own country too. Fortunately, recently, the wife of the president was saying that medical tourism is not something that is good. So which means it's good. I mean, she has spoken very well. Yes, she has spoken very well.
She just returned from one.
Yes. It was a good idea. Let us develop our own medical facilities too, so we don't need to do medical tourism.
Okay, now, Mr. Shonuke, can any country, close its border forever? And if such a country can, I mean, if Nigeria, for instance, can you also ever stop Nigerians? Nigerians are very, very resilient people. You find Nigerians in Mali, in fact, in Ghana, Togo, Benin Republic. I remember very well, 2002, I went to cover the Nations Cup in Mali, and I went somewhere called Mopti. It was in the dead of the night. We were looking for food, and suddenly we just heard Barista's music somewhere, and we went in. He said, "Who is here?" And the man said, "I'm from Ogbomoso." I was a white Jamala, So you can't ever stop Nigerians. Now, you don't think if we continue to close our borders, this will also, reduce the enterprising nature of an average Nigerian?
The truth is that whichever we want to look at it, whether by international laws or even, trade relation angle, we really cannot close our borders forever. It has to be for a period. And from what the government said, I think the government is trying to make a point to our neighbors that you cannot turn Nigeria into a dumping ground. I mean, you cannot bring in goods from your end and bring it to Nigeria and expect that Nigeria will now be a dumping ground for all these other nations. One thing that we really cannot rule out is the fact that in the West African sub-region alone, Nigeria is the most populated country. In fact, somebody was saying Nigeria is about 75% of the entire West African population. So that is a large market. It's a huge market. But one thing that I, like Honorable Janji said, I want Nigerian government to do a little more. Beyond the issue of power infrastructure, I think the last time we were here and we were discussing this, we made mention of deep sea port. One of the reasons why even these ships that bring these goods don't come to Nigeria is because we don't have a deep sea port. So they would rather go to these neighboring countries that have deep sea port, dislodge whatever they are bringing to these countries, and now use the smaller boats to bring it to Nigeria. Some of these goods that we're talking about, Nigerian custom will actually make a lot of money from it, even if we allow them to be imported to Nigeria, if we have a deep sea port. So beyond the power infrastructure that will improve production here and make us more competitive with our neighboring countries and with some other parts of the world that bring some of these goods, I think we also need a deep sea port. So ships coming from Europe, from Asia, we don't need to go to Benin Republic.
How long does it take to have a deep sea port?
It doesn't take long, but it's the will. The problem is the will.
Ogun State tried it sometimes.
Ogun State tried it, but you see, I have a challenge most times when we put some of these infrastructures through government bureaucracy. Some of these infrastructures will have been more successful if we have a PPP arrangement. Because somebody will not want to put his money in such a venture and allow government bureaucracy to shut it down. So I think that is a major challenge. There is nothing wrong in asking an investor to invest in a deep sea port. Government provide the assistance, let the guy bring his money and make his money after some years. And I tell you, within a short time, the guy will make his money. A lot of people are invested in this country, and within a short time, they have made their money. The telecom sector is a case in point. I mean, they came in within a short time. Many of them recouped all their investments. They are living big now. None of them is paying back any loan other than maybe maintenance loans. The initial loans that they took to establish some of these facilities in Nigeria, many of them have made it back within a very short time. And that is why we are able to have this competition that we are having in the telecom sector. And even if we go to the power sector, the same thing is happening. So I think the government needs to begin to look more in the area of public-private partnership in some of these infrastructure and some of these facilities, particularly the ones that will enhance our trades with other countries. So, I mean, I am a Nigerian. I wouldn't want to leave Nigeria and live like a slave in America or elsewhere. I mean, we have Nigerians who are in those countries, and whether we like it or not, racism is still there. Some of them get to places with their qualification and they get people who are not as qualified as they are to be their boss.
Some Nigerians don't even use their qualifications. They don't even take them along. Yeah. You know, anytime they go to Europe.
So I believe that, like Judge said, if we make this country good, Nigerians don't have to go, though we can't stop them. That is the reality.
Honorable Judge, do we have to, is it imperative for us to close our borders before we start making such huge amount of money you mentioned the other time?
Well, not necessarily, but yeah, I think
because I don't think
not necessarily.
Yeah.
If by the time we try to develop our own facilities too, probably our own sectors, the agricultural sectors, by the time we are bringing in rice, if your rice, no matter how good your rice is, and our own too can easily compete very well with it, and I'm selling my own for 10,000 naira, the one you are bringing from Benin Republic, you are selling for 15 or 17,000 naira. With the economic situation of the country, nobody will buy your own. So either you close or you don't close. All that matters is for the country to give us a very good and living environment to be able to thrive in all the facets of life, agricultural production, industrial, etc., etc. But if you're in a situation where we still have some corporates, some black sheep in the family that will not even listen, like my brother said the other time, that I think something needed to be done. Yes, enforcement needed to really be done and make sure that those areas too that were mentioned, they were really clamped down upon easily.
But I'm looking at us putting necessary measures in place. Now, the Benin Republic Nigeria border is one of the most porous in the world. If you ask an average custom officer, he will tell you that you could get into Nigeria through many routes. Many routes. There is official route.
Immigration even said it's about 1,400 routes.
No, you don't think that's the problem. Because someday government will say, okay, let's open our borders, and the problems will still be there.
Yeah. That is why before the government says that, to that extent, we need to have really, really developed all the assets. Aspect that we said.
It could take like 5-10 years.
It might not necessarily.
It might even be more.
Yes, it might not even be up to that. You see, all that matters is seriousness. If you have people that are very serious about even assignment given to them by government, and people are God-fearing and they are so sincere about wanting, what did China did? They took the advantage of their population to be able to say, my friends, we are not taking anything from outside this country. We are going to be self-dependent in our country. They started manufacturing little or two things. Little things, technologically they have developed, a lot of things. You understand what I'm saying? Nigeria too can make use of our own population to be able to develop ourselves and even, sell most of our products to international community. And we are going to really make it. It's an advantage. We just have to make sure that this population of a thing should be converted into an advantage. We need to be very serious about it.
Do you know we have a lot of sectors in Nigeria that can be turned into gold mine, even beyond agriculture. Let me give you an instance. I was at a granite, a quarry some time ago, and somebody told me, that was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago in Osun State. And somebody told me that, do you know, as at that time, it cost about ₦1 billion to bring a granite slab machine into Nigeria and to start making all these granite slabs that we import. We have a lot of quarries in Nigeria. You can imagine if somebody decides to invest in such a thing, it will create jobs, the value chain, everything, and Nigerians won't even have, and we might even have better granite than the ones that we import. So there are a lot of sectors that the government can, by improving this infrastructure, can open up, and a lot of people will put their money in it. But unfortunately, because of the system that we operate in Nigeria, most people would rather prefer to be suitcase investors. They just come in with their money, do a fast trade, and get their money back.
Now, let us, talking about the legal and the illegal routes. According to a report here, we have 80 border outposts. And then we have 1,400 illegal.
That are
No, the total is 1,400. They are only manning it.
Don't you think it's high time we started making use of technology, really?
Yeah.
To check those areas.
Yes. Okay. Let me quickly answer that. You see, there is nothing bad about that.
Okay.
You see, if we can, the CCTV of a thing is there. If we can invest into that, so that anything that is happening in a particular route will be monitored and easily, tracked. Tracked, and helicopter can even be, sent down to come and say, let's monitor these people are coming in and all that. Until we do that, if those borders are not well manned, are not well, taken care of, it will still be affecting us economically. There is no way we want to. As I'm talking to you now, some people are bringing in rice into Nigeria. As I'm talking to you now, in all those porous borders that you are talking about. So, and there is no way it will not affect the rice farmers. It will not affect rice production. It will not affect the economic, value chain of everything. So, they need to really do something. Technologically, we can do that. Even if not for the borders alone, technologically we can even, for security aspect of it. It's high time that we have that. This state of a thing in Nigeria is something that is, that is supposed to
when we talk about technology in enforcing some of our laws, most times I laugh. And I laugh because many of the people who are policymakers in Nigeria, if you go to their house today, you see CCTV cameras to provide security for themselves. But they are not ready to put money in providing security for the environment. It's very unfortunate. Talk of manning our pipelines, talk of manning our borders. Even there was a time we even launched the satellite. And Nigerians were well involved here in building and putting together the satellite. But when the satellite was supposed to be launched, it was the politicians that went to witness the launching, not the people that actually built the satellite. So, that is it's like...
It's a politician, so it's a politician.
No, but we have to tell ourselves the truth. He is somebody that I know says it as it is. That is the reality. So there are some philosophies about, that we Nigerians seem to have adapted to, that I think we need to change.
Talking about security, one of the reasons why the borders were also shut was because of insecurity. According to reports, people will come into Nigeria, they will perpetrate crime, and they will go back, to all of those countries. And then we also understand that proliferation of arms, illegal arms, and the rest of them, they are coming. And then recently, when the president had a meeting, a security meeting, emergency meeting at that with the security chiefs and the governors, he asked them, he said, we have shut the borders for over 9 months now, and then we still have arms and ammunition, crime on the increase, and the rest of them. What is the problem?
Insincerity. Insincerity.
On the part of who?
On the part of people that were given the opportunity to man the borders, on the part of Nigerians too that got themselves involved in all these social vices. Some people feed fat on importation of arms. That is what some people do. That is their own major area of business. Why? So it is insincere, because if you are sincere with yourself, with your country, and you are God-fearing, that even those arms that you are bringing in are going to be used against fellow human beings that are Nigerians like yourself. What is the essence? I mean, by the time you die, you are not going to go away with $1. They are not going to put $1 in your coffin when you are going to be buried. So insincerity, then the fear of God is not there. Because even though, do you understand that, you know, the people at the border, some are even giving some tokens, they will allow you to go. Roger boy, I mean, go on your own. Insincerity. But assuming they are sincere to themselves and sincere to their country.
Can we substantiate that?
Even if
well, it might not be substantiated, but I mean, we are all Nigerians. We don't need to deceive ourselves. You understand? I mean, there was this a guy that was giving us a humorous laugh matters, whatever. This Bakasi was saying that, I mean, they went to US, they were drinking, and the other guy that was going to drive never drank anything. He said, why are you not driving? Drink. He said, drink in US. And immediately they put a machine into your mouth and it smells alcohol, you are going to be jailed. I mean, he was now referring to the other side. But if you have to be Nigeria with your NSC in your hand, I mean, you say, oh boy, what's it for the boys? Roger guy, we take this one. So that's what we are saying. You see, if everybody given an opportunity could be able to do diligently an assignment given to them, I'm telling you, we are going to get there.
But in every society, there is always that deviant behavior. You know, I think it's more of a government refusing to be ruthless.
I was going to even add that even insincerity on the part of the government cannot be ruled out. Because some of these foot soldiers have come out to even tell us that they are not properly armed. They are not properly equipped. The president is asking, we have closed down the borders, how come arms are still coming in? Is the president unaware that we have 1,400 routes? And only 80 is being governed? Is the president unaware that there are a lot of things that some of these people manning the border are supposed to have as welfare package, and maybe it doesn't get to them? Or the government, I mean, the president wants to tell me that he's not aware that there are times even some of these funds that are approved end up in private pockets.
Is it not impossible that it's unaware?
Well, it
As
is
the president of a population, 250 million people.
The truth is that if he's unaware and reports are coming that our policies are not giving us the right result, what a leader should do is to investigate why.
What if they're not telling him what he wants to hear?
You see, in leadership, there are ways beyond the system that you try to get the facts and the figures. You can go through the system and the system will have been created to block you. But you can ensure that you have other alternatives of getting information. I mean, the president has DSS at his disposal. He has the immigration, he has the customs, he has the police. I will not be told that all these people will now connive and give the president a blind eye on all the things that are happening. Apart from that, there is nothing wrong in the government engaging a private investigator. The president can decide to get a private investigator. I want you to give me a report on this. I mean, we've seen governors even do it. I mean, people give them reports. I think there was a particular governor of this state that somebody told me at the time did that. I mean, he will get the report of his civil servants, but he will also get somebody to go ahead and give him the report. And when it's time for him to meet with the civil servants, he will put his independent report in front of the civil servants. He will bring the person that did the report to sit, and they will all discuss. So if you lie in your report, it will be obvious. And before he calls you, he has already gone there himself to see things. So, I mean, there are a lot of ways by which all these things can be addressed. I'm not saying the president can descend so low to go into the borders and check in. That's not what I'm saying. But there are ways that he can get trusted hands that can give him the true position of things and get his right information.
Everything still boils down on insincerity.
Insincerity.
Now, while we can say that, yes, we have really gained so much in terms of agriculture from the border closure, can we also say that we have, gained, positively in terms of the area of security?
We really cannot say that, in my own opinion, because, I mean, in recent times we've seen a lot of insecurity issues in the north. Even it used to be northeast. Now it's now moving into northwest. that of North Central seems to be an hybrid monster that cannot be addressed because it's been there for decades at the North Central between the herdsmen and the farmers who are predominantly in the North Central. So, but it's like the entire North now has been taken over. Almost every week now, you hear people are killed, you hear people are maimed, people are raped, and you begin to ask yourself, are we saying that we cannot man these things? I mentioned the issue of satellite. One of the reasons why it's difficult for some things to happen in some of this advanced world, the moment crime is reported, they beam the satellite on the environment. And it's easy for you to quickly, even if the criminal is trying to escape, it's easy for you to quickly track him.
Did you not smell a rat, Mr. Ayode? When the report also came out that Chad went after these bandits, you know, tiny Chad went after these bandits and got them. And gigantic Nigeria, you know, you don't think there's something fishy somewhere, something?
Let me say this. Some time ago, the governor of Borno State said something, and I want to repeat what he said. I'm not quoting him verbatim, but I'll try to kind of say what he said. He said there was a time that they noticed that the attacks were on the downward turn, went down, and he called the security officers, the army, as in the military, the police, that now that the security situation has improved, can I reduce the security vote that goes to you? He said the following day there was an attack. He said the following day there was an attack. So he said he was now asking himself, is it really Boko Haram that is attacking, or the people that he called that he was going to reduce the amount of money that goes to them? So, and the same thing, even in the...
This is a very serious matter.
It's a very serious matter. Like I said earlier on, unfortunately, it appears that some of the people who are manning this thing for the nation have the philosophy of selfishness. Go to anywhere in Nigeria, an average Nigerian wants to think of himself first, before even thinking of his neighbor, not to talk of the nation. So it's an unfortunate situation that as a people, until we begin to look at that and begin to correct it right from inside our family, before we get into church, get into the mosque, get into the society, I think we have a long way.
Yeah, you didn't land though on your story, the story of Borno you are giving us.
Yeah,
so what happened?
The governor just, it was even on national TV. The governor just said that he didn't tell us what he did afterwards. But he was telling us that he had no choice than to continue to give them the money.
So which means some people are feeding fat from the actions.
So if that
from the attacks.
The insecurity.
So
it could really be artificial.
It could.
Which means
orchestrated.
It could.
I mean, that is it. So it could be artificial. So that by the time we say this, I mean, we have bombing here, we have this there. I mean, government is going to pump a lot of money into it, and some people are going to eat and probably feed very fat on that. I mean, so the guy said he wanted to reduce the security vote. Now attacks came the second day. Even
there was this mutiny against the general during, when the Boko Haram attack was really pronounced.
Yeah.
I could remember what happened. They were going on a particular route, and I learned there was a kind of an objection from the foot soldiers that this route is not safe. Can we take another route? They said, their commander said, no, you must follow that route. They got there and they were ambushed. And those soldiers were killed. So their colleagues got angry. That's why would you send them to a place where, they protested about going through this route. And the general ran away. Up to today, nobody has told us where that general is. Some people were alleging that, we sure that the general was not even conniving with Boko Haram to give Boko Haram a point that they were able to kill Nigerian soldiers. So there are lots that is going on. All we need to do as a nation is read in between. These things are in the news. That's why I said the president cannot tell us that. He cannot find another way to get to the bottom of this. When he came, we knew how he removed the field generals and he brought people that we will say in quotes were abandoned in training schools and brought them to be chief of staff. Why did he do that?
Anyway, we are looking at the pains and the gains of border closure.
Yeah.
But let's, because in a few minutes from now we'll be ending this program. Now let's look beyond Buhari. Buhari ordered closure of our land borders. And whether we like it or not, we've seen some gains, you know, from in the area of food production, self-reliance, and all of that. But we have not really seen much in the area of security, I mean, which we're actually analyzing. But again, let's look at post-Buhari. Buhari would leave office. Now, because one of the things that, that has actually blighted this country's progress is policy somersault. One president comes and he feels that what the other president did, you know, wasn't good. So, I mean, but we've seen a lot of advantages in this. Now, how do we confront this?
Well, there is no point, you know, not allowing, I mean, if anybody that's taken over from Buhari will not want to continue this policy, I mean, will not want to say categorically that the person is not a friend of this country. Because if you have done a particular policy and it has benefited you, there is no way you should just leave it. I mean, or not want to continue it. I mean, there's continuation in government. I mean, government is a continuum. So there is no way that you want to not say, okay, if a policy is very good, even if Buhari should leave in 2023, the person coming in, I mean, by the time he too sees that, okay, I think we need to really see how we can maintain this.
A former military man, you know, became President Buhari and he did all of this. Maybe coming from the perspective of military, what if you have a capitalist as the next president? Who doesn't believe in all of this?
Well, that's going to be very unfortunate. that is why we kept on saying that by the time we want to choose our leaders, let us always make sure that people that are vibrant, intelligent, God-fearing, and people that are highly cerebral, that are going to be put in position of authority. But if you should make a mistake of, you know, not putting somebody that might want to continue good policies, it's going to really affect a lot of things. So that is why we said government is a continuum. We need to just make sure that people we are going to put there are going to be those ones that are going to continue good policies. We all know good policies. But let me still go back that it has its own demerits too, the border closure of the thing. Because we not believe that some industries packed up in Nigeria because they have been getting their raw materials from outside the country. A lot of people were laid off. Some people are not even, you know, I mean, cannot even feed very well because most of those industries have been closed down based on not being able to get their raw materials from outside the country, from the border nations that they've been, you know, having this thing. So it has no merits and demerits too. It's only that we can say, okay, the gains are more than the pains. I mean, with our analysis, the gains are more than the pains, but notwithstanding, I think we can interwoven things. The government cannot close the border, totally throughout their tenure, no. I mean, you have to relax, relax, and make sure that people that are going to be put to man all those places are people of, you know, integrity, because it's all that matters. If you have your integrity intact, you are likely to deliver better things for Nigeria.
So invariably, you are saying that
more often than not, I think our challenge in terms of continuity is what has always been re-echoed to us. When we put up a policy, we put it around the man.
Not around the system.
Not around the system, not creating a structure that is sustainable. So the moment the man is out, it's just like, permit me to use the example of Barcelona. Take Messi away.
Barca finishes.
That is it. So everything that built around Messi goes with him. And it's not just about the nation. It's also like the way we are. Why do we have some of our companies that are locally owned going moribund after the demise of their founders? Because it's built around it. I always use with all apologies, I always use one church. Let me not mention the name of the church in Nigeria. When the founder was very popular, that church was very popular in Nigeria in the 80s. The moment the founder died, nobody hears of that church again. Why? Because the system was built around him. So until we begin to build our policies around structures that are sustainable. Institutions that are sustainable. A president cannot come today and tell me he's cancelling the Supreme Court. How can that be possible? Or you want to tell me the president comes and says we are not having bicameral. He has to go back to that same legislators to take that decision. He cannot take it on his own. So until we have our policies, structured like that, we will continue to have all these policies from ourselves. If a new president, for example now, we have APC in power. If PDP comes in tomorrow, they want to destroy everything that APC has done.
And it's not supposed to be.
And it's not supposed to be.
Why so sure PDP that will come to power?
No, I'm just saying that, assuming that PDP comes to, I'm not saying that they will come, but I'm assuming that they come, there's a change of government. It will definitely kind of bring about a total change in a lot of, recently, somebody was talking about, with all due respect to the past administration, Metro Rise. Where's Metro Rise today? You know the response one of the government officials gave? He said Metro Rise was not a vision that was structured to outlive the government. And he gave his reasons. And I agree with him. He said, you produce Metro Rice, but where are the farms producing the rice?
But thank God we are seeing rice.
You get the point.
But thank God we are seeing rice.
No.
I think whether it's
Metro
or no, we are seeing rice.
So you can. And when the agricultural commissioner began to talk of how I see that this is a structure. It's starting from the root. You are starting from the farm, bringing it out to the people. So it's a chain. So for you to break that chain, for a government to come and break that chain, you'll be surprised that even if the government decides to withdraw its hands, you will see people who have invested in it, who are resolute. They will continue.
Now, some people actually call, Honorable Jaji said certain things that Nigeria has not only gained, we've also lost certain things. Yep. And then some people are actually calling for a review, of what is actually happening at the borders. What review really should we be looking at?
1 minute.
Well, I think the review is, you have to close and open. That is the review. Because you cannot want to close it permanently.
I think the review now might be premature. We still need to elongate it more and see how much gain can we still have. Because like I said earlier on, the pandemic has really retarded the kind of gain we should have recorded.
That's true. Pandemic has also come and it has actually affected a lot of things. We must thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming. Honorable Larry Jaji, thank you so much for your analysis on today's program. Mr. Ayade Shorunke, we also thank you so much for your contributions.
You're welcome.
Dominic, we got to go.
Yes, we also want to thank you so much for your time with us this morning. Newdawn. We are going to be coming your way again next week Monday, but don't forget to join the crew for Tuonjo tomorrow. I am Dominic Agbeha. On behalf of my colleague Biodun Alabi, we are saying have a wonderful day, and of course make sure you stick to that to the instructions and directives of the government as far as COVID-19 is concerned.
The Ogun State government has observed with dismay illegal activities on gas pipelines across the state by unscrupulous residents. Such unacceptable behavior include erection of structures, among other forms of social and commercial activities on these gas pipelines. These acts are extremely dangerous and are capable of undermining the safety and security of not just the perpetrators, but innocent and unsuspecting residents of host communities. The present administration views this blatant violation with great concern and is therefore calling on perpetrators of such illegal acts to desist forthwith or risk immediate arrest and prosecution by security agencies. Leaders of communities where such gas pipelines pass through are advised to report to security agencies nearest to them. Stay away from acts that endanger your life and that of others. Announcer, Ogun State Government.
Tablets, capsules, and injections help treat illnesses and help us stay healthy. However, inappropriate use of such medication can lead to worse conditions or even death. Consulting pharmacists and doctors to review new medication keeps us safe. Do you know that a mix of aspirin, supplements of ginger or garlic could lead to fatal internal bleeding? Antibiotics taken with milk rather than water can affect the absorption and effectiveness of the medication. Some deaths can also be self-inflicted. How? Taking medicine recommended for your neighbor or family member, believing you have the same ailment. Even when the drug is original, its storage determines its effectiveness. Some need cool room temperature, others the fridge. Don't self-medicate.
Remember, don't buy your medicines from unauthorized chemists, kiosks, hawkers, buses, or even supermarkets. Don't.
Look out for the RX sign. See your doctor regularly.
Do you know that immunization can protect children from infectious diseases and deformation? Protect your children from childhood killer diseases like measles, polio, smallpox, whooping cough, mumps, and so on. The children of today are leaders of tomorrow. To have a healthy nation, immunize your child today.
Good day, viewers. You are welcome to another edition of this program, Ogun Digi Class. My name is Temitope Ojo. Our subject for today is mathematics, where we are going to look at fractions,